And that is like the biggest thing with biohacking is like the mentality and your mindset has to be there. Like you have to know your why. You have to know like what is the fucking purpose of doing red light therapy every morning.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Physio Diaries podcast. We are your co-hosts, Dr. Melanie Ziaziaris
and Dr. Koshevatskiy, where students, healthcare professionals, and wellness junkies come to get the inside scoop of the healthcare and wellness industry.
The podcast you didn't know you needed by your favorite travel physical therapist.
Welcome to episode 20 of the Physio Diaries podcast. I am shook that we are in the 20s. It is so crazy to me how fast time is flying. Insane. Today, we wanted to debrief on the topic of biohacking because of the documentary that came out recently on Netflix called Don't Die. Mel and I both watched the documentary recently, and we had so many thoughts on this. And we wanted to kind of share them all with you guys today. First of all, if you're like, what the heck is biohacking? Same girl, same. I saw biohacking the first time, that term, in Mel's profile. So Mel, do you want to go ahead and tell us kind of what it is and what it entails?
Yes. So we were like prepping for this episode because obviously we prep for all our episodes, and we were just talking more about things we wanted to talk about. And then I realized and found out that Alice didn't know what biohacking was before like we talked about it. And I'm over here like biohacking this, biohacking that. And I did not tell us.
Well,
wasn't on the same page.
Yeah, I'm like, I knew the concept, but I never knew that there was like an actual term for these people, I guess, or like what they do. Yeah. And the guy that was in the documentary is an example of an extreme biohacker.
Yes,
and
extreme.
I had people texting me and they were like, what is biohacking? Like, they thought in Mel's profile, and I'm like, honestly, I don't know. Like, this is a new concept, but now we're on the same page, and I'm like, oh, okay, like this is kind of cool because this is everything that I mean, not everything to that level, but things that I am very interested in too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was doing like a rebranding for 2025, and I don't even know. I was like, all of my ideas come at night. Clearly. That is when my brain is flowing the most, is after 7 p.m. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, I am a soft biohacker. So then I put it in my social media.
Yeah, it was soft biohacker. I'm like, what does that mean?
Yes.
Like, I saw it.
There's extreme biohacking, but then like, what about soft biohacking? Like, that sounds cute and doable. Like, anyone could be a soft biohacker.
Yeah. I'm a soft biohacker now. But anyways,
you are a soft biohacker.
What is it?
Yes. So what the fuck is biohacking? Biohacking is using science, technology, and lifestyle habits to make physical, mental, emotional health changes to optimize your health in all aspects of your life. So this goes beyond just like fitness, being healthy. This is like over that, right? So the goal is to live as long but as healthy as possible with the best quality of life that you can have. So it's looking at things like diet, exercise, sleep, technology, supplements, all of these things to just optimize your health. So it's like, it's past just being a wellness girly, right? Like, it's using all things in the industries and all the tools in your toolbox to really combat aging, right? It's like the goal with aging. So many things happen to us physically, mentally, cognitively. Our REM sleep is decreased, affecting multiple aspects of our life, tissue healing, so many things, nervous system regulation. So it's really targeting aging and slowing that process down.
I think this is a really big topic now too. I was telling you earlier, I started not reading, but listening to audiobooks a lot. Especially with these long road trips going across the country to where I'm at now, Washington. I listened to 2 audiobooks. One that we're planning on, it was by Casey Means, that we're planning on having a whole nother episode on.
Oh, yes.
What was his name? The guy that has the massive podcast. She went on Joe Rogan. On Joe Rogan. She went on Joe Rogan's podcast, and she was so great that I listened to her entire audiobook. And it was just so good. And then I also started listening to Lifespan by David Sinclair. I don't know if he's like a biohacker, but like he's really into like aging and that kind of science. He's a professor at Harvard. The interesting thing is that the both of them that are in this kind of field, health and wellness, like beyond health and wellness, is that they both had parents that died at a young age from cancer. And when I think young, it's like 50s, 60s. That's still young.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I think that a lot of people are becoming more interested in this topic because cancer rates are so prevalent. Like all these diseases are, more and more common. And I think a lot of people are trying to ask like, why and what can I do to kind of prevent these things in some capacity? And that was really interesting because I'm like, that's probably why they're so interested in all of this research and this whole new field.
Yeah. I mean, something in your life had to have happened, or some aha moment, some light bulb moment that clicked for you to want to have this mindset and really dedicate your life to attaining this lifestyle. So that makes a lot of sense. I mean, the rate that we are just getting chronic diseases, conditions, all of these things is like insane. And the healthcare industry is not what it should be.
And it's profiting off of us being sick. Like you said, actually, you said that something must have happened in this person's life. And that relates to the documentary called Don't Die that we watched. The documentary is basically about this guy named Bryan Johnson who lived a very unhealthy lifestyle. He was extremely under a lot of extreme stress. He was very depressed. And he just had no time really for himself, like because he would just eat fast food all the time because he didn't have the time to sit down and be like, okay, what should I eat? What's healthy? He wasn't exercising. None of the aspects of health he was hitting. So he actually, I didn't know this, was the founder of Braintree / Venmo.
Yes, I had no idea either.
He has so much money.
Yeah. Literally this guy is like money on money. It's just, he doesn't need to worry about shit pretty much.
No, and that's why he's able to do all these insane treatments to go to the end of the earth, to be able to afford these treatments countries. That, everyday people would never be able to do. But I'm happy that he went in that direction, though, compared to like the path he was on before.
Well, yeah. I mean, they show his before pictures and where he's at now. And he's a completely different person. Like you would not recognize the person he used to be. And actually, when I was watching this with my boyfriend David, and you know how they talk about moon phase with like cortisol levels and stress? He had a moon phase, and I was like, David, he literally has a moon phase. Like this is what I'm talking about. And it's so different. And his face has slimmed down. I mean, I'm sure he does a lot. Like I'm sure he's done treatments and stuff, but.
I'm sure. Yeah. I think he does like mild, like Botox and things like that, but still that wouldn't like his body healed from the inside out.
Yes,
you can tell that he looks so much healthier. In his eyes, he looks happier. Like he just overall seems like he's doing really, really good.
Yeah.
Now versus before.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like he was just going through life on this trajectory that he had created, and something needed to change for him to get out of that. And that is like the biggest thing with biohacking is like the mentality and your mindset has to be there. Like you have to know your why. You have to know like what is the fucking purpose of doing red light therapy every morning. It's to do this, this, and that. And this is going to help me for this, this, and that.
But,
sorry.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
I was gonna actually, it's interesting too, because he had somebody that was the research. Like he pays somebody to look into all the research and all these things. And he's like the kind of the brains behind the entire operation.
The guinea pig.
He has people like calculating everything, doing full body MRI scans, testing all of his biomarkers and everything. So he has actual data, which is really interesting on how all of this has actually improved his lifespan and his health in many different ways.
Yeah. And going back to just like what biohacking is, there's different types of biohacking. And when you watch this documentary, Don't Die, you can see how he incorporates every aspect of biohacking and these types into his lifestyle. So it includes nutrition. So your diet, what you're eating, how you're eating it, supplements, nootropics that help like brain cognitive function, lifestyle. So exercise, meditation, sleep, nervous system regulation, but then also technology assisted hacking. So that's like your Oura Rings, your fitness trackers, different actual markers that give you concrete data to analyze your day to day and help you adjust your future, pretty much. And then biological. So gene editing, stem cell therapy, plasma related therapy. And yeah, it's really interesting because he has the privilege and the opportunity to literally get all types of biohacking into his life, which we'll talk about a lot more.
So he obviously went to like the extreme of what biohacking is. Like he kind of does everything. And that's, I don't think, we'll talk about our thoughts in the end too, but we are just discussing this. It doesn't mean that you have to do every single thing to prolong your lifespan, because he can't possibly tell you which one of those things specifically really was helping, because he's just doing everything at once versus like doing actual trials, like randomized controlled trials, and testing each individual thing that he's doing. He's kind of doing everything at once and seeing hopefully that it'll help. So
yeah,
that's just a little disclaimer.
So we're going to give you guys a little just background synopsis. If you haven't watched it, this is going to be a spoiler. So just prepare for spoilers.
Yeah, watch it first. But if you do not have the time or you're not that interested, then listen to this, because it's, I think, a really good synopsis. So the Don't Die documentary is, like we said, about Bryan Johnson, who's the former owner, CEO, the brains behind Venmo, Braintree. And he basically was down in the dumps, like he was very depressed, I think, at some point, like even contemplating like if he should be on this earth. He had like 3
he was very depressed.
Yeah, he was Mormon, had 3 kids, was just basically having like an existential crisis. And do you remember what exactly caused him to go into this, like the biohacking?
Well, I'm trying to remember. He left the church.
Yes, he did.
And he moved away from Utah.
Yeah, and I think that him and his wife were separated.
There was a lot of family life things that also happened.
And I know once he left the church, it's funny because we're talking about like Mormons again, but once he left the church, his wife and his kids were young. His kids were not interested in having a relationship with him, because when you leave the church, that is like the worst thing you can do. And they kind of, pushed him away. And so, he still, I think he still had his business, but he started to realize like he was not healthy and he didn't feel good. And somehow he found this guy that was doing all the research for him, and kind of went like full force into this field with his longevity consultant person.
Yes. Okay. So listen to this. This is one of the most scheduled, regimented things I've ever heard of in my life. I could never, I don't think I ever want to be this way, actually. I probably could do it if I wanted to, but I don't want to be this structured. But what he does, props to him, because it's truly amazing that he could stick to this. He goes to sleep at 8:30 p.m. every day, wakes up at 4:30 p.m. He takes his body temperature. He takes like 54 pills just in the morning. He has like separate pills for morning and night, and they're both over 30 pills. All of these supplements. He's also vegan, which I thought was really interesting and added a whole nother layer to it. He does red light therapy, has this artificial sunlight to mimic the sun to help like his circadian rhythm. He has this machine he puts on for hair growth and stimulation, this other technology thing to stimulate his vagus nerve where it's around his neck. He exercises every day, combination of strength training, HIIT, all of that. And he does like, in the documentary, they show him in the splits eating his cereal. Not cereal, sorry, he doesn't eat cereal, eating his breakfast. And he's just like in the splits eating. And then he got his son to do it. And I actually thought that was so funny. I loved that.
Yeah.
So his routine is just like super this, and then maybe a little bit of time to do whatever, but very structured, very tech based. In terms of exercising, he does like the backward sled for a certain amount of time, postural exercises, which love. As
His
PTs, we
posture
love to hear
was
it.
really good.
Yeah, he's
When
always
he
like,
said, yeah, his posture is so good. He seems like a robot because I'm like, how can somebody have that good posture in so many different positions at all times? But it's those exercises. They work.
yeah, tricep work, face pulls, back strengthening, Nordic and reverse Nordic exercises.
Which those
The
are
list,
very hard
yes,
to do.
yes. So he's also very into mobility, which you have to be. And he tracks his sleep every single night. He like sleeps perfectly on his back, and he has like things that cover his eyes and this thing that goes over his head, and he's like,
It's crazy.
yeah.
Yeah.
But he had 1 whole month of 100% sleep performance, which is like wild because the average human does not get that. Like the amount of time we're actually in deep sleep and REM sleep, like so many people don't get high quality deep and REM sleep. So
And that's
oof.
hard to do. But I was listening, like I said, to that audiobook, and they were
Yes.
saying that the best way to improve your sleep hygiene is, first of all, an hour before, like, do not look at your phone, limit blue light exposure. And also just to help wind down and have less stimulus bombarding your brain right before bed. And
Yeah.
also, like Mel said, he goes to bed 8:30 every single night, including weekends. So the most important thing is you need to have a regular sleep routine. So if you go to bed every night at 10, you have to go to bed every night at 10. You don't want to switch it, like one night go to bed at 10, one night go to bed at 1. And that's how he gets his 100% perfect sleep score, on top of like also, having good REM sleep, just having good habits in general will improve your sleep. So it's wild.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I could ever get to that point.
I know. And like, I am so good at certain aspects of my life, but sleep has always been the hardest for me. And actually, ever since I started my like true gut healing journey, I have had so much energy that I never expected I would have. So now I'm like, I have the energy to do all these things so that I go to sleep later than I should have. And like, I'll average during the week, I probably average I'd say I average like 6.5 hours, which is not optimal. Like I like a solid 8 to 9. And so it's been really hard to try to regulate that. Like, oh my God, it's so hard.
It's hard too when we are working really long hours, because I'll usually leave my house at 6:30 and I usually won't get home with my old routine. I won't get home around like 7 to 8. And then it's like you have to cook and then you have to shower. And by the time you're in bed, it's like 11 and then you have to wake up again, because we have really long days. So,
and like most people, like he, like we said, he has the privilege to literally not, this is his work now. Like his biohacking is his
full-time job.
Yeah.
That's true.
And so like, it's just, most people can't do that. That's not realistic. That's not a good sample size of the population.
Exactly. Like most people don't have that time or the money to be able to do all these things. But I still think there's things that I can incorporate in my life that I still want to do, that I learned in this documentary.
Like what?
I texted you about this. I want to do red light therapy, and I've been thinking about it for a long time, more for like skin, just glowing a little bit more. And I've been seeing a lot of people using it, and I looked up the benefits, and there is a lot. And seeing him do it, I'm like, I just know he's done the research for me.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I don't even have
totally.
to go into depth.
Like he has like the fancy panels too, like thousands and thousands of dollars. Like I just have a good solid low one.
Yeah. I know those always look so funny when you post it on your story. Like, oh, Mel's using her breath like therapy again. But I do believe in it. And like, honestly, I'm willing to give it a try.
Yeah.
So
also, yes. Another thing he did, this is going back to the biological type of biohacking, which I think this is the one that's like the most extreme, because just even having the resources to do it is like another level. But he flew, where did he fly? He flew to South America?
Yeah, somewhere.
It was another country.
Yes.
I see either Central or South America. And he did a therapeutic plasma exchange.
Okay,
why
that
does
was
it keep on doing a thumbs up? I don't know why that keeps happening.
Yeah.
If you're watching our like thing that we record on just did like a thumbs up based on some movement I did. I don't know, whatever.
It just loves the podcast.
It loves biohacking.
It loves biohacking.
But
Yeah.
they did therapeutic plasma exchange, and it was a 3-generation one. So he got his dad and his son to be a part of it. And they took out plasma from each. Yeah, it had to have been each of them. And so his son gave Bryan his plasma, and Bryan gave his dad his plasma. And the reason why is the plasma in our blood contains so many proteins, amino acids, other like markers, and just really like our high quality properties, I guess you could say. I don't know how else to word that.
Yeah, they did a study. I thought this is a little weird, to be honest. Like the whole concept of like them giving plasma to like between the generations. That's a little weird. Also, the fact that it was done in a country outside of the US just kind of tells you that potentially it might be questionable, like the way that they do it, or there's a reason they had to go out of the country to do it. You know what I mean? But there was a study that found that if you they physically connected the bodies of 2 rats. This is crazy.
It was so disgusting how they showed it.
How do you even have, they showed them like a model.
Connected them like what is it? Siamese twins?
Yeah, they took one younger rat and then one older rat and connected them together. And they realized that the plasma from the younger rat somehow prolonged the lifespan of that older rat. And I thought that was crazy. Like, who even gets the idea to do such a thing? It was like a whole bonding experience among 3 generations. They were like taking weird.
They loved it.
Okay, also sidetrack. But the photo shoot that he takes with his son is like very uncomfy. I'm like, that was shown a little too much on the documentary. So if you want to spare yourself from seeing that, then just listen to this podcast. But that was weird. Like, remember there was the photo shoot they did with the grandpa and him and then his son. I'm like,
yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah, like, they're doing it for attention, how they share their plasma and they took these like sensual photos together. I was like, that was weird. But, I'm sure there's a reason. It's to get attention, and they did that. I would like to see more of the research done in a population, because a lot of the research that they talked about was done in rats.
Yeah. And it's also like they had a good setup because they were biologically, genetically related. But like using donor cells and blood to do that, like that. Whoa.
Now she has fireworks. Wait, what's going on? Is it your hand movement?
Stop talking with my hands. That was crazy. What the hell? Okay. For anyone who's not watching this, recording thing just made fireworks go on behind me, and it put on a little show for me. That was nice.
Wow. And you guys will enjoy it too. Free fireworks show.
It's so funny. I don't know what's happening. We are not the most tech savvy people. Anyway. But yeah, so it's like doing that without having like family members to do it with in the right setup, like, I don't know. There's a lot of question marks for that. Stem cell therapy and more of like the biological type of biohacking is definitely interesting. Yeah. I don't know if I would do it.
Yeah. I would want more research done in it. I just don't know enough about it too.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's, like I said, it's really nice for him to have his own researcher and somebody that does all that work for you. But I would never do any of these things that he does without looking into it. Like some of the more extreme things that are more invasive. He also started taking a drug called rampamycin, which I think was an immune suppressant. It has only been shown to prolong the lifespan of rats a little bit. And I think he did a little bit of the rampamycin, and I'm pretty sure that he had to stop taking it because something else was elevated.
Yes.
And I don't remember exactly what, but that was wild to me too. It's like, why would you want your immune system to be suppressed too? Like, is it worth?
Yeah.
It can increase the risk of so many different day-to-day infections that your body would normally be able to fight off. And
I didn't get that.
Yeah, him taking all of these supplements, doing all of these things.
Wild.
Yeah, wild. Also, I was going to say another thing, but I just forgot to mention it. The fact that he does all these things and he's prolonging his life, it seems like his schedule 100% of the day was like regimented.
Yes.
And part of me
Totally.
is like, what if one day he wakes up and he just wants to have like a chill little morning and he doesn't want to have to chug like 40 or like swallow 40, 50 pills, you know?
I know. I
So
want to know if he has any off days. Like, are
I
we
don't
really
think
doing this
so.
every single day? I don't
No.
know. But like,
No.
he's also so hardcore and
Yeah. He's in too
he's
deep
like,
to like take a day off.
yes, he's like a boot camp biohacker.
Yes. Wait, you know what I loved though? So, okay, I forgot about this part completely, but basically, his son, the youngest son, I think out of the three, reached out to him and kind of also started questioning like the Mormon values and the
Yeah.
church. And he ended up leaving the church and moving across the country. Well, not across the country, from Utah to California, where Bryan
Yeah.
is based. And they bonded for like, I think it was a couple months. And Bryan was saying that one of the most important things, like in the blue zones, this documentary's community is a huge thing.
Yes.
And he seems kind of like an introvert. He is a little bit lonely. Like he has a girl who works for him as his assistant, but he obviously didn't have that aspect of family, or it didn't even seem like much of a community because he's so regimented in his little biohacking world. And then his son moved in with him, and it seemed like he, like when they cried together in Target when he had to go to college,
Yeah.
you could tell that like that was really a part of his
sad.
life that he's kind of lacking. And what I really liked is once his kid went to college, he was like, well, that is really important, is having a community. And he organized events and like walks and stuff to get people outdoors and just have some sense of community. And that's something that he like didn't have before that he was lacking.
Yeah, no, valid. Because I mean, social isolation does so much mentally to us. Like, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I would say a lot of my elder patients, they want to be able to move. They want to be able to do these things, but they literally don't have anyone to help them or do it with. And there's that like community aspect and people around them that's like missing. That's pretty much preventing them from doing certain things and like limiting them.
I know that's a big thing too, is like, I was thinking about this, like if he does live to 150, 200, and like the rest of his family and his friends don't, it's like you kind of still lose that community because they're all going to be gone.
That's a good point. That's
But
interesting.
yeah, so that was just one thing that I remember thinking like, oh, that's like one thing that he doesn't have. Like he's able to do all these things. He's able to buy all these things. But at the end of the day, at the time, he didn't really have much of like friends or like a community because he is very like introverted and kind of lost his family. So it was nice to see that he was bringing people together, and like now his son is kind of joining forces with him, it seems like, because I looked at his website and his son's all over there. Yeah, and I found his LinkedIn. I'm like such a stalker, but it said he went to yeah. I mean, we have so much access to so much information, but I found his LinkedIn and he had
he's in Chicago.
He's in Chicago, University of Chicago, the son. It was
I have a question for you.
interesting. Yeah.
What did you think about the vagus nerve stimulator?
I mean, yeah, if you have the money, like, why not use it? But I know that there's just, that's like an external force forcing your body to be stimulate the vagus nerve, which, I don't know how exactly it does that. Maybe it's just like, because it's like close to your neck.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of other ways that literally are free. Like you could do breath work. Like I had my Apple Watch on and I do box breathing sometimes. Like
nice, yeah.
if I feel like, my heart rate is high or like I'm more stressed, or sometimes I'm just curious to like, I want to see how much it works. And I had my Apple Watch on and I was looking at my heart rate and it went from 68 to 58 with just 2 of those box breaths.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it lowers your heart rate. It just lowers everything. And you feel so relaxed. Like maybe I'm just really good at doing it now. Like maybe I've mastered box breathing, but it really works. Meditation. That's one thing this year that I have never been a meditator. I am I have not major, but I do have ADD. And
yeah,
maybe even more so I should meditate, but even like meditating 5 minutes a day is so great for you, and it can make like a huge change in like your personality or just like your well-being.
totally.
So yeah, meditate. Like, who needs a freaking vagus nerve stimulator? Does that even work?
Bro,
Like,
listen to this.
meditate.
I have a
Do
funny
yoga.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after I watched the documentary, I was like, why the fuck does he have a vagus nerve stimulator? Like, what?
Yeah.
Literally, because he fucking can. That is the biggest takeaway there, because he can. And I went on TikTok and I posted this TikTok about my thoughts about this documentary. And I was like talking about specifically the vagus nerve stimulator. And I was like, there's literally so many free ways to stimulate your vagus nerve and parasympathetic nervous system: meditation, breathing, breath work, yoga, cryotherapy, cold plunging,
cold shower,
cold showers. There's so many ways. And I was like, what? That's sending, I love what he's doing, but it's also sending a message of like, you have to have these things to be able to do this. And I don't like that. And listen to this. Literally yesterday, and I was like, oh my God, I have to wait till I share this on this episode. I go through my email and I got an email from the brand that he uses for the vagus nerve stimulator. And I was like, no fucking way, David, look at this email. No. And then I click on the website and it's like, Bryan Johnson uses this. And I was like, no way that this company just emailed me to promote this vagus nerve stimulator. And when I literally talked shit about it on TikTok.
Can you imagine if they sent you a free one? That would be insane.
Well, yeah. And I was like, I emailed them back just to see what they were going to say. And I was like, really?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so
and
interesting.
I'm like, did they find me just because the word biohacker is in my profile? Like, how did,
I don't know.
How do they find you sometimes? That's what I wonder. But yeah, it was literally the exact same brand that he used in the documentary.
That is crazy. Do you know how much it cost?
A couple $100.
That's not horrible, but
it wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. I think it was like 3 something.
Yeah.
It wasn't like 1,000. It was definitely less than that. But yeah.
Okay.
Honestly, I think it's like similar to how much my red light therapy costs.
Okay. Yeah.
But isn't that crazy? I was like, what are the odds?
That is hilarious. Like, that is what we were talking about, is like the power of social media is so crazy. And we just recently went through like the TikTok ban or whatever the fake ban, but still, that is wild. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe you'll be stimulating your vagus nerve.
Like, we don't do it every day. But anyway.
But
yeah, that was, I think, my biggest issue with the documentary was that I wish they would show more people that apply to the common person. That's the only downside to this, is that, like, of course they're gonna document this millionaire that has all of these resources and is doing this crazy experiment on himself and doing all of these things. But like, you could be a soft biohacker.
Yeah, you could be a soft biohacker, just like Mel. I'm gonna start calling myself that too, because I low-key am. But
we are all little biohackers on here.
Yes. Maybe that should be the name of our people.
The biohackers.
I thought that it was interesting and kind of refreshing to see somebody that was so invested in their health, because our Asian population, typically who we see, is more on the other side of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And people are not informed at all. They're getting procedures, they're getting injections, and they're not doing their research. So to see somebody, obviously, that has the means, but also is investing in the knowledge behind it too, it was just kind of refreshing to see somebody like so dedicated to their health, because like most of the time in this day and age, people are not dedicated. And I think I'm going through this like little health journey because I'm nearing my 30s, but like, it was really refreshing for me to watch that. But at the same time, it did seem a little bit obsessive. I do think that he probably uses this as like a coping mechanism, because, he did have a lot of depression and anxiety. And I think he probably puts in a lot of his like time and energy into this because he's just, constantly thinking about it and putting a lot of like effort into it. I think it's a better outlet than some other things that he could have turned to. So,
Yeah.
I do think it's a little bit obsessive, and like when you keep adding things and going deeper into it, I think it's like you can't stop.
Yeah.
It's like, if I do all these 20 things, why don't I just do a couple more things? What's a couple more pills? Like, what's another injection? I'll try it. I also know myself, and I know that I personally would not be able to do some of these things that he does.
No, absolutely
and
not.
I question a lot of things that he does too. And I know like he was really, really regimented in what he eats every day. It's like the same thing.
Literally. Oh my gosh.
Look appetizing.
I was like, you don't even eat out like once or like have a little something outside of the three main things you eat.
Like, how do you not get a craving for like In-N-Out? Oh my gosh. I had In-N-Out like 3 times in the last week, and like I could have eaten it 20 more times. Like, it's like
But
a dog.
sushi?
Like,
Oh my gosh, sushi? Like so many things.
Everything. Like Indian food. Oh my gosh, we had just had such good Indian food. Like,
I miss Indian food.
Yeah, there's a really good place when you come to visit. It's like delicious, like 5 minutes away. But anyway, you can't have those things. You can't experience the finer things in life. It's like, if you're going to prolong your life, you also want to enjoy it. But maybe he doesn't. Anyway.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, at the end of the day, it's mindset. So he's doing all these things that make him feel good. And he has altered his mindset to think, I need to do this, this, and that to feel good. So I'm going to keep on doing it. Right? Like, at the end, it's your mindset. That's your biggest cheerleader or demon. So
I think after a while, you probably don't even crave those things anymore. And he's like wired his brain to be like so into this lifestyle that he doesn't even crave anything else because he knows how good he feels. And he knows how bad he felt when he was at his lowest. Like, probably his digestive system, just mentally, like clarity, everything. And so I think that's like a big driver of his motivation, as well as like his kid. Like, he wants to live long enough to see like his kid get old, I mean, I really liked it, and I was glad that you told me to watch it, because Mel was like,
I was like, oh my God, you need to watch this.
Yeah, and it was like, that sounds something that's right up my alley, and it was really good. I want to learn more about it.
Yes. I mean, I love learning about biohacking. I just love the term biohacking. Like, I just like saying it. It just sounds so fun to me.
Yeah. Now that I know what it is, I'm like, yes.
I know when I learned the term, I don't even remember. I don't know. Sometimes you just learn things and you have no idea where it came from, but it just makes sense, That's how I feel with biohacking. But
yeah,
I think it's really funny when this is kind of off topic-ish, but he's super extreme. But then there's people out here, going back to talking about like the general populations we work with that are like not like that at all and like don't really understand health. And I think it's so funny to see on social media, like all of these fitness influencers and fitness people that are drinking tons of energy drinks every day, survive off of minimal hours of sleep, are just like, there's so many aspects to this that goes beyond just like your wellness and like exercise routines. And I think that for me, I loved that he showed that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lifestyle. It's not like some diet. It's something that you have to do, little things in your day-to-day life that will improve your quality of life. It's not something that's temporary. Like, you have to change your mindset. You have to change your lifestyle for this to work, to biohack,
Yes.
We did want to talk about the outcomes in case you guys were curious, because you're like, okay, he's doing all these things. He's taking these supplements. He's sleeping 8 hours a day. Is it really worth it? Is it really making a difference?
Tell us.
So, according to his researcher, he was able to revise his biological age by 5.2 years after doing this really strict regimen for only 2 years, sticking to it, which means that every 12 months, every year that passes by, he is only aging 8 months. So that means he's aging slower than time, I guess. But that hopefully means that he is going to prolong his life. But then they also talked about his fitness scores, because this man, if you look at him, he looks like a robot. His
Yeah.
percentage is
Ripped.
optimal. His posture is great. Yeah, he's 47 years old. Yeah,
This is how
I'm
he
like, I need to start doing this posture exercises so my posture can be better on these videos. But listen to this. So he scores in the top 10% of 18-year-olds. Those are like prime, they're at their peak physical abilities. He scores at the top 10% for bench press, VO2 max, grip strength. And I remember reading a study that said that grip strength and like morbidity and mortality actually are directly related, which makes sense because that's like your overall strength.
For sure.
He tested in the top 10% of 18-year-olds as a 47-year-old.
He must have had like over 100-pound grip strength. Do you test grip strength?
Yeah, not always, not on everybody,
Really?
but I tested usually for like upper extremity stuff.
Okay, I gotcha.
If I had more time, then yeah, I would test grip strength. But it is really interesting because some people are so weak, and I'm like,
oh my gosh, so weak. Yes. With the job I'm at right now, like they really do a lot of CEUs and research-based things. So we were actually like taught to do grip strength on like everyone. Like I've had a lot of like my managers and people like talk about that. So we do it pretty, I'd say more often than like other places I've seen. And so especially on older adults, like anyone older coming in for gait, balance, whatever, even just like knee pain, like I'll do grip strength. And it's really interesting to see their scores go up.
Yeah. Even if, are they going up even if you're just doing lower body exercises?
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of my patients, I'll do like dynamic exercises with like movement of legs and upper extremities at the same time. But, definitely more like trunk, lower body dominant. But
yeah. Super cool.
I mean, it is really interesting data. But at the same time, he's doing all of this just to age 8 months instead of 12 months.
But every year it will add up a lot.
Yes.
He might even be doing stuff that we don't even know about, like that they didn't even touch about and he's probably changing his regimen constantly, tweaking things. He frequently does lab testing. So also disclaimer, do not randomly start doing these things without, kind of knowing where your values stand and knowing what you need to work on. Because actually, this is another thing. This book was so good. This is another thing that Casey Means talked about in her book. And she was saying that she thinks it's really important that everybody does their annual physical each year and you get a blood test and test your glucose level and specific things she lists out on her website too. Everybody
like
should be doing that.
And all that.
Yeah. And like specific, I don't even know, markers that they don't normally test for. But they should test for. And she even says that she thinks that people should have a continuous glucose monitor. They can be relatively cheap. And she's
the
saying,
finger prick ones. Yeah, so cheap.
Yeah. And she's saying that like you should get that and see how different foods affect your blood glucose levels, because having diabetes, and this is like a whole nother topic, but that predisposes you to so many cardiovascular diseases, strokes, cancers, and she's just saying, yeah. So even just like being educated about your health and where you stand is a good first step, which is something I want to do this year too. Totally. So don't just jump into something without kind of knowing where your body is at and what you need to address more, I think.
Yeah. Do your research.
Yeah, but that was kind of it for the documentary. I thought it was so interesting. I still recommend that you guys watch it or even just look into it. Look at his website. He lists everything that he does. He has all of his MRIs. He has all of his data, all of his biomarkers. 50% of his biomarkers are like perfect, apparently. There's some that weren't so perfect. And I'm like, is that like genetic or I don't know. But he has all of it laid out for you to read. And it's kind of a lot of information. But if you guys have any comments, any questions about biohacking, put it in our Google form because we look at all those pretty regularly. And I get so excited when I see a new question on there or a comment even. So yeah, that kind of wraps it up.
That wraps up the biohacking segment for today. We've gone on a lot of
might be kind of sick of the word biohacking.
Should we call you biohackers? Our little biohackers. Okay,
like,
well, we have not addressed questions in a long time, so today we're going to do our Q&A segment based on questions you guys have sent to us on our Google form and social media. Okay, so first question. These are not related to biohacking. This is just everything and anything we've talked about on the podcast and just like our lives. So the first one is, what is your favorite place you've traveled to? Can be travel contract or just travel in general, and why? Okay, so travel contract, Tampa. So right now I'm in Tampa, Florida. I'm in a suburb, but I'm really close to the city. And it's definitely been my favorite so far, weather-wise, community-wise, people-wise. There's just so much more to do here. Sorry for anyone from Indiana, but would never go back. Georgia, I thought Atlanta, sorry, don't come at me, but was a small city. And I like Tampa more, actually. But in terms of just travel in general, Thailand. I fucking love Thailand. I want to go there so badly. When I went to Bangkok and Phuket. And Bangkok, like, huge booming city. Phuket is the beach side, like island vibes, like beach life. They're both great, super hot, super cheap for Americans. And you can get so much for so little just because the currency exchange is crazy. And they're just, just very different from America. But I loved it so much. And I want to go back. I want to go to Chiang Mai so badly. But I definitely plan to go back.
I want to go so bad. And I was talking to him about, like, when we get married and go on our honeymoon, like, that's where we want to go. And we want to take a month off, like, go to Vietnam, go to Thailand, Philippines, everywhere. And just, he's like, if you think Hawaii is beautiful, like, wait till you go to Vietnam and like all of those places. And I'm like, please,
it's different over there.
Yeah, and it's
the
great,
food
but
is so good
and affordable.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, I had amazing fresh pad thai from Thailand for like $3. I like a restaurant, not like street food, restaurant.
Yeah, that sounds so good. And I freaking love Thai food. Like,
my comfort food.
Yeah, it's so good. We had a Thai place that was like legit a 2-minute walk, 1-minute walk from our apartment where we lived together. And we would get it all the time. Their pad siu was chef kiss, so good.
Did you know that pad thai is actually gluten-free?
Yeah, because it's rice noodles, right?
Yes. Yes. And I didn't even realize that until like last year. And I was like, oh my God, it is gluten-free. And I love this. So that's great.
I had drunken noodles for the first time ever. They were so good. My boyfriend and I, we went to dinner. This was Crested Butte, in Colorado. We went, it was a tiny, tiny little place, and it had the best food. It was so good. We ordered one plate of drunken noodles, and I was like, should we just get another one? And we ordered the same exact thing. Oh my goodness. Yum.
That's making me hungry. Okay, what are your favorite?
Okay, so contract wise, obviously you guys know this, it's Hawaii. Probably tops like any other contract I probably will ever have. Washington comes close. Washington State is beautiful. It is so gorgeous, but I just don't think you can beat the vibe of Hawaii. Like, everybody is chill. Everybody's just relaxed. You can't beat being on an island. Like, I love the beach. I love the people. I love the culture. I just can't. I think about Hawaii like every single day. Every day. I'm like, how's the weather in Hawaii? It's probably perfect. I definitely want to go back probably next year with all the weddings and everything happening in
my gosh,
family.
I will definitely be visiting you then.
Yes, 2026, that's the plan. Probably like summertime. And then honestly, favorite place I've traveled to, I loved Greece. That was amazing. It was so beautiful. I love the diet that they have. It's the Mediterranean diet. It's so healthy and so delicious. The people were not the nicest to us because I think they don't like that we were like Americans.
Where did you go again?
We went to Athens, and no, we went to Paros. I think we did go to, but I just don't know what it was, but like somehow we attracted the people that just like hate tourists and got the cops called on us multiple times. But that's like another travel.
Paros?
In Greece.
But at which place though?
I don't remember. But I was young. But yeah, I
Okay.
will talk about crazy travel stories. We'll do a whole segment.
Yeah.
Next week we're doing our break room talks. I'll tell you guys about that. And Italy. Like, I just love their food.
Sure.
Not as healthy probably as a Mediterranean diet.
Well, yeah.
It hits the heart. It hits the soul.
Okay.
Yeah, we had one more question that we wanted to address today, and this is a good one. I really liked it. Someone said, "How do you guys balance working out while working long hours at the clinic? I'm currently on clinical rotations and struggling with having the energy to work out. Thank you. I love your podcast and I listen to it every day on my way to clinic."
So cute.
Yeah,
I love
so adorable.
Thank you.
Thank you for being such a loyal supporter of the podcast. Like, it's crazy to me that someone even like listens to every single one of our episodes.
Yeah.
It's just wild because I'm just sitting here like recording in this room right now. So it's just wild. Like, someone's so supportive. So we appreciate it. As a physical therapist, I feel a lot of pressure to be a good role model. More now. When I was the new grad, I was like, whatever, I'm just trying to stay afloat. I don't care.
Fair.
But now I'm kind of like, I mastered a little bit more of the job. Like, I feel more comfortable, but it's like, what am I doing to keep myself healthy and having a good schedule? Because we're preaching that all the time. Starting tomorrow morning, okay, this is what I normally do. Normally, I work 4 10s as a travel PT, as an outpatient, or what's it called? External travel PT. I work 4 10s, and thankfully I've somehow gotten lucky with that schedule.
Yeah, you really have.
Almost every single contract, but that means you work long hours. So I usually leave home at 6:30 to 7. Don't get home until 7:30 to 8 because you finish work at 5 or 6, and then I go to the gym for an hour, and then you get home. It's late. You have to, it's a lot. Something dawned upon me. So once I just moved to Washington 2 days ago, and I found this amazing gym. It's yoga and Pilates and also cycling. And I'm going to start going there. But they have a class at 5:15 in the morning. So
You're going to go that early?
Yes. We're going to see
Holy shit.
We'll talk in a week how it goes. But
Good luck.
My first day of work, and then it's also going to be my first day trying a freaking 5 a.m. workout class. But
Props to you.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to work. But I'm going to go to bed at 9 and wake up at 5. So hopefully that'll give me my 7-8 hours. And I'll go to my workout class, come back, shower, go to work. And then when you're done with work, I'm done at 6 every day. I have the day to myself. So that's why I think it might work better for me. But if you're not a morning person, then you kind of just have to go to the gym. I think being a student, you get a lot more tired because you're absorbing so much knowledge like a sponge. Versus like as a PT, it's not as energy draining, I feel like, because you're not always questioning what you're doing. So I think that you'll have a lot more energy when you're a PT as well.
I also, though, have to say, because you do one-on-one contracts, and I think that is very different energy-wise compared to a place that's not like that. Because I agree with that. If it's more one-on-one, chill clinic, not super high volume, you will conserve your energy. But if you're seeing doubles, triples, or even double all day, the amount of mental fatigue that you feel at the end of the day, I have a very opposite experience from you because my schedule, every clinic I've been at has been different. And I have had to adjust my schedule every 3 or so months because I have to adjust my hours. So like I've done the 4 10s. I've also done the 5 8s. I've done 4 9s and a half day. So like it's literally all over the place. And I am not a morning person and I don't do one-on-one. Right now it's low volume, but like usually I am seeing doubles. I have seen triples here and there, but it's not like a regular thing for me. But the mental exhaustion I would have at the end of some days, like I would not work out because I'm just like, I rather focus on resting because I just don't have the capacity to do this.
And that's like, it's you listening to your body, Like,
there's a thumbs up.
There's another thumb.
I liked what I said.
Yes. You're listening to your body. If you feel like you don't need to work out that day, that's okay. And it's okay if you're not working out 4 or 5 times a week. Like, do whatever you can. Like, don't put yourself down because you aren't able to go to the gym every day. A lot of your coworkers will be like, oh yeah, I go to the gym every single day. And that's fine. Do not compare yourself to other people. Just do what you can. I noticed a lot of actually PTs will work out during lunch. Like some will hop on the treadmill to get their steps in. And that's like another way to do it.
I've done that actually. Like if I had a free hour, I would hop on the leg press. I'd do some rotator cuff, shoulder exercises.
My boyfriend works out every single day during lunch because we used to get an hour at our last job. So if your documentation's done, like, what are you going to do? Like, so he would just work out for 30 minutes and then eat for 30 minutes.
Might as well.
Yeah. And so we got it. That's another thing is like, as a traveler, your routine changes, your gym changes, like, I've never been a member of a yoga Pilates gym, so I don't know how that's going to be. So it's a lot of change. So it's hard to get into a good routine, I feel like, especially when you're moving all the time. So
honestly, though, trial and error with your schedule, like that, what is going to make you most consistent? I realized for myself, and I've actually been more consistent in working out the past 2 months than I've been the past year. Because I have realized like, okay, I really do like going to classes and having a set time to be somewhere. So I have started regularly dedicating one day to reformer Pilates, one day to yoga. And then I have, a couple other days to do my hot works and strength training. So it's like, once you strategize and trial and error your routine, then you can see what works and what doesn't work. And like, I even have patients, like, I'm always like, what is something you're willing to do and what do you think is going to make you most consistent with exercise? And one of my patients is like, I can't go to the gym. I can't do things on my own because I need to have a time set for me to be somewhere. And that's why people love workout classes, a personal trainer, because there's a set time that you can put in your schedule and have to be there instead of you being like, oh, okay, I'll go this day, maybe I'll go this hour, maybe. So the structure also can make a really big difference.
That's huge. And that's another thing that Casey talked about.
Oh,
I'm telling you, I'm obsessed with her.
Biohacking everywhere.
Yeah, she said that's another thing. Like when she travels, and you do this too, you have class pass. So when she travels, even before she gets to the place, sometimes she will book her workout classes in advance because then she knows that, okay, you already kind of prepaid for it. Or there's a cancellation fee. So you have like a monetary incentive of why you need to go. So sometimes that helps too, is just like being like, okay, I have this class, like you signed up for this class, you have to go, So those are all good ways to kind of hold yourself a little bit more accountable if you're struggling with that.
Yeah. Bottom line, don't feel pressured to go every single day. You don't need to work out every single day to be fit and mobile and strong, and trial and error some routine strategies. Really think about what's going to make you the most consistent. If one day you just want to go on a hot girl walk or whatnot, that still counts. So
there you have it.
Was that the last question?
That was, yes.
Okay.
More questions, like I said, put it in the Google form because we will be addressing more of them next time.
Well, thank you so much for listening to today's episode. We hope you found this really interesting in terms of biohacking, because I can definitely talk about biohacking all day. And there's always more we can talk about. If there's other documentaries or whatnot that you guys find really interesting in terms of like health and wellness that we can talk about, let us know, because there's actually some really good Netflix documentaries out there like the Blue Zones, and there's so much more that we can talk about. Don't forget, if you liked this episode, please rate us, because it really helps us grow and just show people that this podcast is beneficial, because we think it is, and if you're listening, you think it is. So please help us out. Yeah, that is pretty much it. Next week will be a break room talks where we just chat and yap like girls in the break room, talking about life and whatever other topics that come to mind. More chill episode. Yes, that is it. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.